This week, one of the most coveted weapons in Destiny 2 is getting nerfed, and saying fans are not happy would be an understatement. In the most recent This Week at Bungie, it was revealed that the Whisper of the Worm, an exotic sniper rifle that has infinite ammo if you hit critical spots, will no longer have that ability. Instead, it will only have 18 rounds, and while you'll never have to reload, it will now stop after you've exhausted your magazine. The nerfing of weapons and armor continues to occur with the Destiny sandbox time and time again, even after promises that this design strategy would no longer occur.
We have heard the feedback of, my guns don't feel powerful enough, I don't feel powerful enough, and so we looked at everything. We looked at the way you move, the way your supers come back, and especially the way the weapons play, right? We looked at hand cannons and sniper rifles and shotguns. We looked at the big montage weapons that you would see in Destiny 1, the crazy snipes and shotgun plays and even hand cannon plays, right? And so we went back to the board and looked at everything and just said, like, hey, here are a couple weapons that we feel like are in a really good spot. And by really good spot, they're kind of hot, right? Like they're probably too hot for D2. In D1, people would have said, probably correctly, that means we would nerf those things. They're nails that are sticking up out of the board, and we would have hammered them back in to be even with the board. For this update, we did the opposite. We said, these things are hot. Let's bring everything else to them. And so we started raising each thing up, whether it be in PvE or PvP. We've also learned the lesson of don't sand the coolness down, right? Like leave the jagged spikes of personality in there. Like, it's not like we haven't introduced obnoxious bugs into the game before doing the other approach. So like, what's the worst that could happen? Like, there are multiple things that are based in community feedback that have come to us fairly loudly, and that we've tried to like say, okay, we hear what they're saying, we trust what they're saying, we also believe in those things, and we want to make a game that we all love.
With Whisper specifically, it's an exact recreation of the Black Hammer nerf that happened in the original Destiny. Explaining the change, Bungie says the following. For Season of Opulence, several notable weapons are being adjusted. We want to ensure that encounters, raids, and other endgame content, for example, remain a challenge. Some of these weapons have been overwhelming that challenge. Our first choice is to buff underused weapons, but if we continue to push every weapon up higher and higher, it will be impossible to maintain challenging experiences. This is not a full list of changes, but some of the most impactful. The idea that nerfing Whisper to keep things challenging is frustrating for several reasons. First, Whisper isn't the best weapon for every situation. It works well on characters like the raid boss Insurrection Prime, who remain stationary during a damage phase, but for others like Callie, who moves too much, or the Vault, which is mechanics-based, it's not the ideal choice. There are other bosses that it works great on, like Morgith, but again, that's because he's a large stationary boss with a damage phase. If I had to guess, this change is coming out not because the weapon is overpowered, but because of the new raid launching June 4th, and Bungie is hoping teams don't complete it too quickly. In addition to the Whisper nerf, some of the powerful exotics are having their fun factor reduced. Ace of Spades will no longer keep its buff when you swap weapons. Lord of Wolves, which got a significant buff during Season of the Drifter, will now have a 20% damage reduction and will not grant bonus ammo on ranged kills. Oof. On the armor side, Skull of Dire Ahamkara for Warlocks will not generate as much super energy for Warlocks, and Orpheus Rig for Hunters will also generate less super energy, though we'll have to see how drastic those tweaks will be. For now, it's not unreasonable for fans to expect their next coveted weapon will be nerfed to the point where they'll never use it again a few months later. That's a terrible feeling for a game designed entirely around its weapon system. Recently, the community praised Bungie for the release of Outbreak Perfected, a throwback to Outbreak Prime. Today, the conversation on Twitter and Reddit has completely done a 180 and turned to the tone of, I really like this, I wonder how long until Bungie ruins it. A weapon comes out, everyone loves it, and instead of designing a more elaborate encounter to cater to it, or other options, the decision is instead made to essentially destroy what makes it so fun. For someone who's played as long as I have, it's a reason I never chase a quest for a less desired weapon until Bungie feels like it's got it right, which usually means making it easier to acquire. If Bungie does go forward this way, it will further solidify that exotics have an expiration date, making our grind meaningless. No one wants this, and to see that Bungie is moving forward with the changes regardless of relentless player feedback makes the team's promise to listen to fans ring hollow. What do you think about them making changes like this to weapons? Let us know in the comments below, and for more on all things Destiny, keep it right here at IGN.